Welcome to the Dream Life is Real Life podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Hermanson. I know it might seem cheesy or cliche, but if you've got a sleeping giant inside of you, or you just feel like you're made for more, then there's no coincidence you landed here on the Dream Life is Real Life podcast. Listen, as a girl from small town Wisconsin who decided to go all in to her dream life vision, I know how crazy it can feel to chase after wild ideas. Since leaving my 9-to-5 job in academics back in 2015 to becoming a yoga teacher, a life coach, and now a digital nomad, currently living in Merida, Mexico with my husband and Labradoodle, I know that all the cheesy cliches are true. I've watched a lot of my dream life become my real life right in front of my eyes. Oh, and I've learned a whole lot about sales, business, and marketing along the way, and I want to share all of that with you. So here, you can consider me your friend and mentor. As a certified business coach, success trainer, international speaker, author, and copywriter, I've helped hundreds of coaches and entrepreneurs build, scale, and enjoy their online businesses. So here on the show, you'll find the real people, concrete tactics, and weekly motivation and inspiration to make your dream life your real life. I'm going to let you into the nooks and crannies of these dream lives and dream businesses and offer lots of real talk along the way. Because to be a true leader in whatever you're endeavoring in your life and to create a legacy that you're proud of, you need a tribe lifting you up with you on the journey. And I've made it my mission to be that partner with you. Because after all, we are all in this together. By the way, if you'd like some help improving your business and life, then we just might be able to help. Head on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com to learn more about what we do and how I might be able to personally support you and just continue this conversation in making your dream life your real life. All right, let's get to it. All right, everyone. Today we have a very special friend. I kind of feel like, did anyone else watch Barney growing up? I feel like I'm kind of like, all right, boys and girls, today we have a new friend. But believe me, you're going to enjoy this conversation because Tanya Taylor has spent the last 23 years on Wall Street working for or with some of the largest international banks and insurance companies. As an undocumented immigrant arriving in America at age 16 and seeing many people living this paycheck to paycheck thing, she was committed to not just change her life, but she's now spent more than 20 years teaching others, individuals and small businesses, how they can transform their lives financially. She's created Grow Your Wealth Financial, which is an education platform to teach professionals and small business owners how to ditch bad debt and create a 6 or 7 figure income by learning how money works so that they can then build a legacy without feeling stuck. She loves traveling the world and has been to 50 plus countries. And we have so much to dive into here, Tanya. Thanks for being here.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So as you can hear already from my Barney randomness, I like to be really transparent and just honest. And I have to say that when I saw what you were up to, I thought, what a breath of fresh air. How many times have we watched movies? Me personally had this stereotype of who's on Wall Street in my head, and they were not creating educational platforms or giving back any of their good. So tell us a little bit about, how, if you really were kind of an odd duck in a great way, tell us a little bit about that experience being in Wall Street and when you decided, I want to leverage this knowledge and share it with others. I don't see that being common.
Yeah. So, I am a CPA and I've worked with, as you mentioned in my bio, a lot of large firms. So I've either worked directly with them or through the company that I work for, overseeing them. And it's interesting because even though that aspect of my career has been great, the other aspect is that because of where I come from and sort of how I grew up, there was so much poverty around me. And there were so many people around me that were living paycheck to paycheck. And I really wanted to change that. So there's a lot of education that I got working on Wall Street that I thought I could use to transition into some of what I'm doing. So for example, for a long time, I was an auditor and I learned a lot about like how a mutual fund works. What are the fees inside of a mutual fund? What are pension funds? How do those things work? And I thought how great it would be to also be able to leverage that and teach people. Now, part of why I was on this mission to teach people how money works, however, is that, you know, for me, growing up in poverty, I did not want to stay in poverty. And I felt that if I could learn how all of this works, and then how great would it be to go out there and then start teaching others so that we can break the cycle of poverty. And for me, also being a Black woman in the Black community, like money is not something that we talk about a lot. Generally speaking, even across all diverse categories, people don't always talk about money, but I think in our community, there is a big, big gap. And I just wanted to help in that way as well, to just help people to learn simple things like, how does credit work? How can you improve your credit? How do you create a budget? So that's really what got me started. And then I was able to take like all the information that I've learned in my profession and kind of merge those two together to help people to really start learning how to become more financially savvy.
Yeah. Yeah. We hear this over and over, especially with entrepreneurs of like, oh, if I only knew this earlier, why didn't they teach me, how to budget in school? Or why didn't they teach me how to do my taxes? All they did was like, give me a recorder or, make me line dance in gym class. They didn't like teach me like lifelong skills. Right. And so it's always inspiring to hear people who aren't just like yakking about that, but actually taking action. So tell us about not only the decision to build this financial education platform, but what were some of your first steps? I think everyone's always interested in, the beginning, the origin story of growing.
Yeah. So to be quite honest, it was almost like a natural thing. So I'm in my career on Wall Street and I'm thinking, okay, what's my next move? I was getting my MBA, finishing up my MBA, and I thought, okay, I want to do something different and I want to do something more impactful. So I had been teaching people personal finance for like, at that point, I guess 20 years, 18, 19, maybe 19 years. And it wasn't holistic in the sense that the way that I was doing this teaching is that I aligned myself with different organizations. I did some one-on-one as well, but there wasn't a comprehensive where I'm teaching you budget, where I'm teaching one person. If they are starting from scratch and know nothing, budgeting, credit, then how to invest in the stock market, and then tax and wealth building. There wasn't that one thing. So I thought, okay, so I know for sure that I want to continue to do this. I want to have this impact. How do I approach this? So I had been a stock market investor for 20 something years, and I had ran a stock market club, like a couple colleagues and I, we just were like, okay, let's start investing. And so we created this investment club and we learned how to invest. So when I initially started, I was just teaching how to invest in the stock market. I actually had some coaches and they recommended that. But one of the things that I kept getting feedback from people were like, okay, it's great to learn to invest in the stock market, but my credit's bad. I'm in debt. I don't know how to budget. So I want to do the investing, but I don't know how to do the other things. So can you help with that? And so I took a step back and I thought about, okay, what would I have wanted to know? And hearing these people saying, I want to learn other things, I felt that it was important to listen to what people were saying and then to create a product where people can get the benefit of not just investing in the stock market, but understanding, where do I find the money? If right now I have a job and all my money is going out the door, so I don't even have the money to invest. But a lot of times that come from, like you were saying, small business owners, they make the money, but the money go out, right? But if they actually learn how to make the money work for them and line up their dollars in a way that align with what their goals are, then suddenly they're finding, I use the word finding lightly, but they're finding money that they can now use to invest. And then when they invest, how are you going to protect what you're invested in? How are you going to make sure that you're building generational wealth? And so the idea around the platform was to create something so that you, wherever you're starting from, you can come in, you can learn the basics, then you can grow that wealth through investing, and then you can protect that wealth. So I also teach people like tax planning because my husband and I had a tax practice. So it's very cool to be able to teach tax planning. And then wealth building, I was in the insurance industry for almost 12 years. So I know some of the insurance product that people can use, and help them to facilitate like, okay, how do you do estate planning? So I'm not an attorney, so I don't create an estate plan, but provide you the guidance so that you can go out and do that. So that's the comprehensive platform that allows people to be able to have all of that benefit.
That holistic piece. And you're making me think about my CPA kind of financial advisor, if you will. And she always talks about money like a diet. Like if you want to lose weight, or you want to lose debt, or you want to gain muscle, or you want to gain assets, like you can't just like only do dumbbells and be like, I'm going to save, right? You also have to look at your nutrition. You have to look at your stretching. And like, I think that's so important, because a lot of us we can relate to that, right? Because health and weight and all of that is like out there. But there's this weird dynamic around money. Like you said, people not talking about it. And I was sort of, as you were talking, I was sort of envisioning like a messy closet, right? Like, okay, I got to deal with my money. It's been like dark and scary in there for a while, but like, let me open it up. Okay, let me figure out my net worth, or like, let me figure out this. But then it's like, you just keep finding all of these like secret doors of like, oh, I could invest. Oh, Roth IRA. Oh, all these new words I didn't even know about. And I am just like so jazzed by how it sounds like, you've had all these businesses and you've done all these things and you've got so much knowledge, because it seems like when you open the door to really look at your finances with the intention, I want to line my dollars up with my goals, that there's so many things to be looking at. It's not just getting rid of debt and saving, right?
Correct. Yes. And I think that's what a lot of people miss. Well, aside from the fact that if a lot of us, right, we may make good money. I have a lot of friends who make multiple six figures. And if you have a conversation with them, like their money come in, they may put a small amount in their employer sponsors IRA. And you talk to them about insurance and they're like, yeah, I don't really have that. And you talk to them about other things, so many other pieces. And they're like, I never thought about that. I didn't know that we need to do that, right? Even insurance, like, well, I have insurance through my job, but what if you don't have a job anymore? Then what happens? So it's just really taking each piece and saying, okay, what is your long-term goal? And if your long-term goal is, okay, I want to retire at 55, I have children that need to go to college, so I need to build a college fund, and I want to make sure that I have health funds put away, whatever the case is, right? You have those things. Then how do we make sure that whatever you're doing right now is going to line up to when you get to 55, right? While you're still able to live your dream life in the process. Because I always say to people, like, life is not a destination where you get here and you're like, okay, now I'm going to start living. You have to continue to live today and enjoy your life today, but plan for the future. And then you have to figure out how to do that. And to me, the only way that you can do that is to really sit and say, okay, what's my long-term goal?
Have a plan.
What are the pieces that I need? And what are some things that are non-negotiable? So even with my clients, like one of the first things that I do when we talk, it's like, okay, you'll hear people say, I'm anti-budget and I'm this and I'm that. But at the end of the day, you could call it whatever you want. You have to know how your dollars are going to be spent, right? And I'll say to them, what are your non-negotiables? Let's start with that, because like for me, my non-negotiable is travel. I need to travel. I need to live now. And so whenever I create my budget, I'm going to have the travel piece and then I'm going to build around it, right? So it's the same thing that I do with my clients, because I don't want them to have this thing where it's like, oh my God, I'm sacrificing so much that this is not going to work.
Back to the diet idea, right? Like all these
exactly.
When I'm 10 pounds lighter, and then you just like Yeah.
You go and put it
Doesn't
back
work
on
like
in like 2 weeks. You're like, oh my God, I put all the weight back on because I was just like, I cut everything out. And so that's not the idea that we want to have. We want to make sure that we're doing it in a way that is going to be sustainable and you're going to be excited about it because you're like, you're seeing progress, but you're still doing things now that you can enjoy.
Tanya, I am just like so vibing with you. We are both like quite type A. I sense the way that you're like setting goals and we have a plan and we are talking about when we're 50 and we're going to get there. Like I am so with you on that. And also like the idea of a balanced approach to everything you do is like, yes, same over here. Now, one of the things that I know, because I'm a lot type A, but also a little woo-woo, and a lot of people that listen or I work with are very into the energetics of money, right? The manifesting, the calling it in, that it's an energy and it's always circulating. So what advice do you give to people who are like, oh no, I can't look in this closet of my finances. Like it is a spiritual movement, how do we navigate that sort of philosophy that money is energy? And what do you say when people ask you, how does money work?
Yeah, so 2 things. So yeah, I'm into manifestation. I'm actually big into manifestation as well. And, when it comes to money and saying money is energy and there's all this money that could flow to you, right? But at the same time, we have to use wisdom with the manifestation. So there is money out there. There's money to be gotten, but we also have to plan what we do with that money once we get it. Mm-hmm. Or if we don't have it right now, how are we planning to get this money as we're doing all of our manifestation and all of that other things as well. Your second question, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I loaded you up. I'm just so jazzed about this. So the other question is, when people ask you, how does money work? What do you say?
Yeah. And I think this is where, for me, I feel like for everybody, it's different, right? So for you who are someone, if you say, you know what, I need to understand how money works, and I'm starting from point zero. I have absolutely no idea. I just know that I get a paycheck and I pay my bills and that's it. You're going to be someone very different than someone else who says, hey, Tanya, I have all this money and I don't have any debt. I have good credit and I want to invest. So how is your money going to work for you? For the person who already has that foundation, so it's more, how do you want your money to work? Do you want to invest it? And if you are an investor, what kind of investments do you want? Are you a risk taker or are you more conservative? And what is your goal for this money? So, for example, if you say, well, I want to have X dollars by this time. Is it realistic? Because I believe in couching things in a realistic way. So if you're someone who is a little bit more aggressive, but because you can be aggressive and be realistic, right? As opposed to someone who says, you know what, I am never going to invest in the stock market, but I can invest in ETFs or mutual funds because that's a little less risky for me. And I'm more comfortable doing that. Whereas someone else might say, I can do a little bit of trading and I can invest in the stock market and maybe I'll dabble in a little bit of cryptocurrency. So for them, that's how money would work for them, right? But even with that, we would still want to balance it out to make sure that as you're thinking about how your money is going to grow over the long term, that is in a safe way, that you're not taking these massive amounts of risk that in the long run is actually going to put you more in jeopardy, as opposed to really starting to see your money grow over time.
Yeah, aligning your choices with your dream life. Like, I think that's such a great, holistic, but also personalized approach, that it isn't, one size fits all, but it's not. Yeah. All right. I gotta bring this up because you said risk and the C word. What do you think about crypto? Like, so much conflicting information out there. I would just love your 2 cents, pun intended.
So crypto is one of those things where what I have said to client, and I'll just be totally honest, even with myself too, like crypto has been around for a while and getting a little bit technical, it's not regulated. So they're still trying to figure out what to do with crypto in terms of regulating it. And I don't know when that's going to happen. But it's one of those things that you could make a lot of money in a very short period of time, but you can also lose a lot of money in it in a very short period of time too. So what I have said to clients is, if you were to think about building wealth as a pyramid, right? Especially if you are a risk-averse person, but to me, even if you're not a risk-averse person and you're willing to take risk, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So if you feel like you want to dabble in cryptocurrency, that's okay. Maybe you take 5% of your total investments and you start there. And if you make a lot and you want to risk it all, then at least you know it's still only 5% of what you have, as opposed to taking all of your investment and saying, hey, I'm going to invest in crypto. So that's my thought on crypto. And I am invested in crypto, but I remember the first time I invested in crypto, I said to myself, I'm going to take this money, I'm putting it in crypto, but I know that there's a possibility that I could lose all of it. And I'm willing to lose this money, knowing though that if I don't lose, I could potentially make a lot with it. So that's how I approached it. And I use a very small, so again, I look at things as a pyramid. What's at the bottom of my pyramid is a safer investment. And as we go up, it gets a bit more risky. And then I'm okay with that risky piece, because it's either going to bring me huge returns or it's going to be a loss, but I'm okay with taking the risk with that loss.
Girl, like you were literally doing the food pyramid thing. Like, what am I on over here? I've been talking to so many health coaches. I'm like, this is a diet plan. Like, not a diet. You know, like people are anti-word diet and budget, but it makes so much sense. How do things work in our life? How do we make change? How do we get to goals? It's a balanced, holistic, long game, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I totally agree.
So if people, like, so much wisdom, so much information, if people want more and they want to keep aligning their money with their goals and really figure out how to make money work for them, where can they continue this conversation and learn more about how to work with you?
Yeah, sure. So my company is called Grow Your Wealth, and I am on Instagram as Grow Your Wealth 10X.
And I saw you holding hands with an elephant, which I think is so cool for a CPA.
I was in South Africa. I was walking with an elephant, which was awesome.
Like, how many of your tax accountants are doing that? I mean, that's very cool. Okay.
That's what I talk about, balancing life with really just, getting your finances in order. So yeah, they can definitely check me out on Instagram. You'll see my little streaming reel, which is something I recently started with my elephant. And I'm also on Facebook as Grow Your Wealth as well. So I have a Facebook group, Tanya Taylor-CPA, Grow Your Wealth. And I offer a lot of advice within that group, just around all the topics that we mentioned. So whether it's budget, credit, debt, investing, or wealth protection, because I feel like you can't have one without the other. And if you could look at all of it in a holistic way, then that's an amazing way to help people and to help people to just get past wherever they are at this present time.
Oh, amazing. I am so grateful for your energy, insight, and just pure value. This was amazing and super helpful. So we'll make sure we have links to connect with Tanya Taylor in all the places. And listeners, I'll be back next week with another inspiring and very cool guest that will help you make your dream life your real life.
Awesome.
And don't forget to hop on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show for specific goodies that we talked about today and access to continue the conversation with these guests as well as myself. I cannot wait to see what you create. Until next time.